Welcome everyone. It's great to be back live here on YouTube. As you can see, I have Behance open on my screen because we will be using a couple of inspiration from here. I created a few of them. I just was about to jump into my collections. And I'm just checking if everything is working fine before we get started. So let me know in the chat, please, if the sound, screen, and everything is working okay. This will be a long one, so buckle up. We will do a full design workflow for a menu design. And let's see how much I can fit into 3 hours. So without wasting too much time, I'm just going to go quickly to my collections and mood boards, menu design. So I have a few of them collected here, but I also have a few of the inspiration that we will be using in Milanote. Now the link to the Milanote brief board that I am going to use is actually already in the chat. It's pinned to the top. So you should be able to find it. And it's also in the description, so either way, you should be able to find it. Within the brief, you will find everything that you need to get started on this project. And the whole idea of this live stream, this is the first one, we haven't done this before, is that you can also follow along and do this project with me. So while I'm working on it, you can also do the same. And I already have a lot of things here on this board, including the copy or an option for a copy that you can use for this menu, and also a couple of assets. So if I zoom out, you will see here on the right side, after the inspiration, I actually went ahead and did a little bit of generation session in the morning where I tried to create a few images that could be used for the menu. So this is for a salad bar, and I actually created these based on based on the copy that I will be using, which was also generated by ChatGPT. I just refined it a bit, but generally both Midjourney and ChatGPT did a really good job of assisting me with coming up with some assets and obviously just helping to put this brief together. And I don't see any harm in using AI for this, just to experiment and just to practice designing, because even if you have the best assets to start the project, it still comes down to your creative ideas, how you put things together, how you create your layouts, the composition. So you can have the best assets to start with, but you can still end up having a very weak design. So that's the main aim here. And I might not end up using these. I might end up creating some new, or maybe using some stock assets. We'll see how it goes. I intentionally didn't even do any sketches. So I again have my iPad ready here. I just literally have like a wireframe for my thumbnail sketches. If I decide to do them, again, I might not, but this is obviously something that I would normally do for almost all projects. Do a couple of thumbnail sketches just to explore how I will place everything on the pages. And so, like I said, if you follow that link that I have in the chat and in the description, you should be able to check out this brief. And by the way, this is exactly how we display and present our briefs for our pro member students. And the main idea behind the pro membership that we do is that students can submit work on a monthly basis, and we do the reviews, and then they get like a very thorough feedback, similar to what I do for the contests. So if you joined me this week on Tuesday, we did the review on the work that was submitted for the contest for the coffee packaging designs. And so similar to that, I give the feedback. Now, this is one of over 100 briefs that we have on the site. And I just picked this randomly, and the whole idea is that I want to show how I would start working on this. And this is obviously to help our pro member students as well, but anyone else who is interested to join, you're welcome. And if you are interested for me to review your work, I highly recommend to join our pro membership, where you will be able to get the feedback, but also join our community where we have at the moment, I think over almost 3,000 students active. So it's an amazing place to be in. And we have a few of our pro members here. I can see they are commenting, and yeah, they can testify the effectiveness of this program. So I am just going to also show, since we are talking about the pro membership, a selection of work from our students that was done on another brief, a similar brief. This was also for a menu design, but this one was for a fish restaurant or a seafood truck restaurant with the brand name called Fishman or Fisherman. Someone called it Fishman, which is quite funny as well. But yeah, Fisherman was the name. But you can see the amazing variety and quality of work that we get from our pro members. Some very imaginative illustrations, obviously some branding that goes with it. So some students go the extra mile sometimes, and even though we don't specify it in the brief, we just ask for the menu, but they obviously get a bit carried away, and then they continue working on that project and expand it further, which is always a great thing to see. Here's another nice stylish design, or this quirky one. I zoom a little bit closer. I love how we have the fisherman character here, and how we can see him fishing out with the hook. One part, like that box on the right. Very, very cool little design there. But yeah, you can see there's some very clever ideas and really nice functional designs. So one of the things that we always talk a lot about is, it's one thing to make a design pretty, but it's also very important to make it functional. And that's also one of my aims in this workshop, that I would like to focus on creating something functional, where whoever is looking at the menu will be able to quickly find the different categories or options that they have, very quickly see the price differences. And in case of this salad bar menu, we will have the option for people to create their own salads. So that also has to be very clear, like what are the ingredients they can choose, and what's the order in which they should tell that to the person serving them. So there's a lot of things that can make customer experience better. So to improve that, the designer can do a lot, and it's mainly about making the designs functional. Now, another important thing to mention here is that although we will be designing a print menu, or menu that can be printed, it will be in a format that can also be used on displays, so digitally. If there's like a big TV or a couple of TVs or screens behind the people serving in the salad bar, it can also be used in that form. So both digital and print format. And so I would like to strike a balance for a design and layout that could work for either. Maybe obviously there might need to be a subtle changes in like text size and stuff like that, depending on what's the format is and what the actual size. But generally that's also one of the aims that I want to do. So not just print, but also think of digital setup. Okay, so yeah, just a few of the examples. Obviously we have many projects. So if I just jump back here, by the way, I'm using Milanote. We have almost everything on Milanote that we do for our courses and students. And you can see here we have all the different projects that we have categorized into graphic design, illustration, branding, stationery, so many other things as well. And in each of these we have all the student work. So for instance, if I go to a branding project, the farmers market logo design, you can see the amount of work we have there. And we keep track of everything. We archive everything with dates and names, so we can easily go back and choose the best ones. But yeah, so like I said, we have some amazing work from our students, and it's always inspiring to see what they do. And I am going to also just jump back here in Milanote and mention that if you check out the brief, again, the link is in the chat or in the description, you will find the most important things written here. So details to include. So it needs to be an A4 portrait or landscape orientation, unfolded double-sided print. So essentially it will be two sides of an A4 format. And it will have to include the following things: the brand name, which is simply salad bar. But there is also a cool slogan, "Let us eat." It's quite fun. ChatGPT came up with that. It's not me. And also these tagline or motto options that you can use, which could look really cool somewhere within the design. There's some really clever ones here. And then obviously the design has to include illustrations or photography. And you want to make it modern, clean, and comfortable to read from a distance. That's important. And you want to divide the menu into sections. So hierarchy is important, visual hierarchy, and create unity between the elements. So we have to pay attention to that. And then we have further down here, we have the menu options. So I created two or generated two. The first one is a bit more like a standard one that you would have, a little bit more options in here for salads, and then a couple of smoothie options. So this is just very like standard, bit cliche type of menu. But then I also created one which is a little bit more quirky, and it has only 5 salad options or signature salads. But then there is also the option to build your own salad, and then there's the option to choose the base, the toppings, the protein, and how to dress it. And there's a couple of additional things like soups and sides and drinks. And I actually used this brief this copy, and used it to generate these images. So if you go for the second copy, then you will be able to use these images. And it is quite astounding how good Midjourney is in putting together the ingredients. So I am just going to read the ingredients for this. So this is the classic overachiever salad. And so this is the description of it. You know the type: always crisp, always balanced, always photogenic. Fresh romaine, cherry tomatoes, shredded carrots, cucumbers, croutons, dressed in our signature house vinaigrette. So yeah, I mean, that's perfect. I don't think Midjourney missed any of that here. So I think all the ingredients are displayed in a very aesthetically pleasing and appetizing way. But let's see this other one. Kale, is the name of this. Kale, quinoa, roasted chickpeas, sweet potatoes, dried cranberries, and toasted almonds with a tangy lemon tahini dressing. It's incredible. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like all the ingredients are captured perfectly. They all look realistic. They look proportionally correct, being next to each other. That's also something like in older iterations of generative AI image models, I've noticed that the proportions of certain ingredients wouldn't look right. Like a tomato would be smaller than a pepper. And actually, that's probably a wrong example. Like it would be smaller than a berry, right? So like the tomato, it's just out of proportions. But in these cases, I think everything looks perfectly fine. And you can go along and look at the copy and look at these images, and you tell me what you think about it. But I feel like they look amazing. And if you haven't had lunch, or depending where you are in the world, if you haven't had breakfast, I am sorry in advance, because these images will make you really hungry. I just had my lunch, so I'm fine. But I got hungry just looking at them when I was generating them. And look at this as well. I had this idea. Again, I'm not sure whether I'm going to use this or not, but I am planning to utilize circular shapes for the design. It makes sense because bowls, when you look at them, they are circular from the top. So that's what I thought, like even the ingredients and everything else I'm trying to display in this circular fashion, a top view circular setup. So even this avocado toast bites is arranged in a circle. Again, incredible thing that Midjourney could achieve this. And if you are interested about the prompts that I used, I can show those as well quickly on my screen. Even the juices or the smoothies are displayed from above. But my favorite ones are these. So all the different things that you can use or you could choose from when you want to create your own salad are displayed here. So again, from the copy, I put all the ingredients in. And I can just show you the prompt for this. So let's see, like this one here. You can see the prompt on the right. Top view photo of obviously all the ingredients, healthy ingredients arranged into a circle, white background. That's simple as it is. And then there is, for instance, like this, which has a lot more ingredients, and Midjourney still managed to pack them into a single image. Here I start to notice the proportion issues, like the avocado feels a little bit too small compared to everything else. Maybe the onions seem fine. Maybe the radishes could be slightly bigger, but still I think we can get away with that. But yeah, there's a couple of really nice ones here as well. But I just jump back to my board and I can show you, yeah, we have the protein options as well. And then I also tried to create a couple of interesting illustrations, more abstract. I really like this style of illustration. And obviously it would take hours to do something like this. So for the sake of trying to pack in as much as I can into this workshop, I generated these already. And if we like this direction, visual direction, we can go ahead with this. Or again, even if I don't go ahead with this, feel free to use these assets. These are slightly different, but yeah, and there's another one here with avocados. I might generate some more of these if we need to. Cool. Now, let me have just a quick look at the comments. It's awesome to see so many of our pro members here. So glad you had the time to join. And by the way, almost everyone here, actually, everyone here that is a pro member has also taken part in our design sprint, which we just wrapped on Sunday, which was a whole month of working on creative projects, like having workshops almost. I think we had like 3 workshops every week, which was awesome. So this is again like a little bit similar to that, what we will be doing here. I promised our all the attendees of the design sprint that it won't end. We will continue this same format, but now we will do it on YouTube to allow others to join us as well and to have a little bit more brainstorming opportunity and co-designing opportunity. And that's also, before I start, it's a very important aspect of this stream that I would like all of you to be active here using the chat. You can even share images with me if you find a link that you want to show something, or even work in progress that you are doing. If you upload it somewhere, whether on social media or on Dropbox or something like that, you can just drop the link in the chat and I will be able to check it out. Actually, it might make sense to create a Google Drive. I'm just going to create one quickly in case anyone wants to share files. So let me do that quick here. I'm just going to create a workshop folder. Call it salad bar menu. I should have thought about this before, but never too late. And I'm just going to make sure anyone can edit. That means anyone can upload. Anyone with the link should be able to edit it. Okay, just give me have a quick check on this link. I will also pin this here in the chat. Actually, I can't pin this one because it would replace the other one with the board, but I'm going to just put it on the board as well. So that should make it easier to have access to it. I'm just gonna keep it here on the board. You should be able to see it. I'll just remove the preview. So there is the Google Drive. I'm just gonna make a note here. Use this folder if you want to share any images or work in progress assets, layouts. Okay, cool. So let me know if that drive folder works. You can just try it out and upload something there. I'm gonna have it open on my screen, drop it in here on the other screen. Okay, and I am going to just jump back to Milanote and check if there's anything else I wanted to show. So one other thing that's very important, and I wanted to mention, that when you do your research for a project, I normally like to divide my research into style references and actual competitor references. And what I mean by that is it's important to look for actual designs for very similar businesses. So in this case, salad bar menus, it's important to collect those. And you can see some of these examples here are actually salad bars. But at the same time, you shouldn't limit yourself to concentrate on that, because what's more important or equally important is to find examples of styles, visual styles that you feel like would work for the brand. And of course, as a designer, you have the ability to then apply that style to whatever you are working with, whatever assets you're working with. So for instance, and this is what I wanted to explain, because I've seen this before, that when I look at the research of someone, one of our students, let's just say, would focus too much and narrow down their research too much on a very specific niche. While, for instance, in this case, although it's a salad bar menu, but you can find, if you just broaden your search a bit, you can find really cool examples of menu designs. In this case, this is a, I believe it's a burger place, sandwiches and burgers. Yeah, so it's not, as you could say, it's the opposite of a salad bar, but the style of it, both the menu and the branding, I really like. And I can imagine aspects of this being applied to our project. So this is what I mean, that you shouldn't restrict yourself just looking at salad bars. Here's another really good example, a noodle bar. Once again, very similar, but again, it's more of a style reference. And here, the menu itself, I don't dig that much. It's a little bit boring, very repetitive, too grid, too much focus on the grid. However, I love their branding. The sand nudes is so fun. But yeah, I really like how they've done their display their food as well. Again, the menu is not the best, but yeah, mainly the branding in this one I love. They've done a really good job with that. So I'm trying to find references for like aesthetics and direction. Again, this is a little bit hard to read, GNGR, juice bar and sandwiches. I love the style. I love the general feel and look of it. And I am planning to incorporate these quirky, slightly naive styled illustrations or hand lettering if we have time for it. But yeah, again, another really nice example. And then this one is quite cool as well. Once again, it's more of a style reference, but in this case, this is actually a salad bar. Very cool menu, very clear hierarchy, looks good. And then I think there was one more. If I just go back, I believe, yeah, this is the last one. I added this one as well because I really like, again, it's that naive illustration, or like almost kids, like a kid's illustration, a child illustration. Very basic, amateur, but still works because of its consistency and because of the way it's done. So yeah, even stuff like this, I obviously it's very trendy. A lot of identities are focusing on these like doodle-like illustrations, but this goes even beyond the doodle. This is intentionally, like I said, very childlike. The very like, I don't know how to say this, like all the line weights are changing. It's very messy and chaotic, but it works. It works when it's put together in a nice format. Okay, so I talked about research. I talked about a lot of things already. I don't see any work yet in this Google Drive. I'm just gonna wait to see if it works or not. You can upload anything there. Just upload an image, whoever is listening, just to make sure that it works, and anyone else who wants to like share the work that they do while we are going through this will be able to do it. I'm just going to go back to that board with the other references, and then I think it's now time to get started. So almost half an hour in already. I think it's time to get started. By the way, we will mainly be working in InDesign, and I can already start preparing my document there. So I'm going to do a landscape orientation, A4 size. I want 2 pages, and I would like to have no facing pages, and I want my margins to be fairly big. Let's just go for 20 millimeters for now. I want to probably have columns. I will have 6 columns for now. I'm thinking whether 6 or 8 would work better. Actually, I would just have, probably I will use, I'm not sure if I should use guides instead of columns. I probably will use the columns for now. I will go with 6. I might change this later. I just want to turn on the preview just so we can see this in the back while we are setting it up. I saw a question by Yuri. Okay, InDesign is still thinking. I saw a question from Yuri. Where is making this workflow? I'm not sure what that means. So good start. I think InDesign just crashed. Well done, Adobe. Okay, let's do it again. So I'm not sure what the question was, Yuri. Wasn't really clear. I'm just checking if there is any other questions. I'm glad you liked the copy, Jason. Okay, so let's do another one. I'm not going to turn on the preview this time. It seems like InDesign doesn't want me to see the preview. So 2 pages, landscape, 20 margin, and 6 columns. And I will use bleed as well, because we are doing this for print, even though it's also for digital, but I will use a 3mm bleed. Slug we won't need, so let's just create this. Hopefully it won't crash this time. And okay, it worked. So let me just save this quickly. And yeah, let's put it in the salad bar workshop files. And let's save it as menu. Salad bar menu. Good stuff. So let's see that folder. I'm just gonna refresh. Yep, it works. Perfect. Thank you so much, Robin, for your beautiful example. Is this, yeah, it's you created this. It looks amazing. Free Spirit. Beautiful illustration. I love it. Thank you. Okay. Gutter is the space between the columns. It's used for a lot of things. Like we can use, it can be used for a couple of different things in editorial design, but generally it would be the space or empty space within or between the columns. And to be honest, in this case, we might not even need the gutter, so that's something that we can adjust later in the layout, margins and columns. So I can always come back here and I can even set it to 0, like this. I'll see how I will use these guides, because obviously if I press W, these are not part of the design. They are just going to help me orientate and align things within the design. But generally, I was thinking of utilizing like 3, the left side, the center, and the right. So dividing the design into 3 main parts would be useful, similar to a trifold brochure. And that's why I have 6 columns, because I might want to divide each of those sections again in half. So I can break it down even less. So we could even go further and have 12 columns if we wanted to divide it even more. But we will see how much of it we will need. And obviously we have 2 pages. And we have a parent page. If we want to have anything repeated on both pages, we can put something there. So, happy Friday, Scott. Yeah, the margin I used 20 millimeters, by the way. Yes, maybe that's the one that you are asking for. The gutter, I didn't change it. It was 4.2 millimeters, but we can just change it to 5 millimeters. The only thing with, if you change any settings on the option that I just showed, margins and columns, it's important to make sure that you don't have any of the pages selected, or select both pages and then change it, because it will only apply to the currently selected page otherwise. So if you have both pages selected and you change the gutter, it should update on both of them. But yeah, let's not get carried away thinking about these smaller details. And I'm just gonna have some air here. Sorry, just needed to open the window. Okay, so what I want to do is to create some sketches. I think it's a good idea to do some sketches. So let's jump over to my Milanote board and open up the menu. Right, there's the menu. I'm going to put this here on the left side, and I'm going to have my iPad on the right side. And then it's always a little bit tricky with my microphone set up to draw, but I'm just going to move things around a bit and hopefully it's going to work. Okay, so I already set up my wireframe, like I mentioned before. I'm using an iPad with an Apple Pencil, by the way, most of the time when I'm creating my sketches. And I use a very simple layout, just set up a layer, lock it, which is my wireframe, and then within that I'm gonna work. Now, the 3 things that we have to fit here. Number 1, we have 5 signature salads. So 5 salads. Okay. Then let's just move this up a bit. Then we have number 2, we have the build your own salad bar, build salad section. And then we have the soups and sides. So if I scroll down here, soups and sides, soups and sides. And number 4 is the drinks. Okay, so these are the 4 main things that we have to fit into the design. Now, when it comes to, I'm gonna just change my color to something different. Yeah, so when it comes to the layout itself, what I thought I'm going to do here with my wireframe is that I'm going to do quickly 3 variations. And I'm just going to write it here. This is going to be the front, and this is going to be the back of the design. Now, in terms of a digital format, this would mean that we have obviously 2 separate screens. I am using a brush called the Elder brush. I'm not sure who is it from. I think it originally came from, let me just check. It might be from Metibi. No. It was in one of the brush sets I bought a long time ago. I even forgot whose brush set it was. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't think. Maybe Max Pack? No, it would have his name in there. Yeah, I can't remember whose was it. But yeah, it's called the Elder brush. But to be honest, Procreate has so many good brushes and it doesn't really matter. Anything that works for you. I like this brush because it has the feel of pencil. So yeah, it's like a 6B pencil, a bit similar to that. It just feels a little bit more natural. Okay, now let's think about this. So we have these 4 categories. I feel like one option could be that we fit the 5 main salads on the front, and then we put everything on the second page. I feel like those 5 salads have to be really highlighted. They are like the signature dishes. So let's do one version like that. First of all, we would have the name up somewhere here. So menu. We can have it on the left side, and then we can have, if we have the whole space for just those 5 dishes, we can come up with a couple of creative ways of doing it. So we could have like the boring layout of having the circles. By the way, if I press and hold in Procreate, we can create more nice round shapes like this. So we could create a layout where we have the all of these elements laid out more like in a grid. So we can just duplicate this bit, copy and paste. Actually, duplicate I should have done. Oops. So we could place them side by side like that. Now, because we have 5 of them, that's already not like perfect for this layout, because we would have either 3 in one row and 2 in the second row. So it's like not like a perfect grid, but we can try to create it this way. I'm going to see which one is best. So I'm just going to do duplicate, move it there, duplicate. Oh, I think we have one more here, and then one more time. I'm not sure why it keeps moving it back again. Okay. So if we go for 5 salads displayed with their big images, we could put them in lots of different ways. This is obviously just a very quick and standard way of putting it, but we could move them and make them bigger, be on the sides like this, and crop into them. It might lose some of the ingredients if we do this, but this could also work as an interesting layout, and I might explore that in a separate sketch. But for now, I feel like this is one of the options that we could go for. And the most important thing here to think about is, if we do this, then how would we add the text? Now, one thing that we could do is to have the title or the name of each written in the same place. And consistency is important when it comes to menu design. So think about the functional aspect of the design. If you have it all consistently in the same place, it's easier for people to find them. Now, the ingredients should be fairly straightforward simply by just looking at the salads, but because we have this good copy here in the background, you remember we've seen it like roughly a paragraph for each of these. It would also be good to find a way to incorporate that in the design. So this is not something I need to come up with here in the sketch, and that's also something I would like to emphasize, that your sketches are not for trying to replicate the final design. It's an exploration, ideation, anything that helps you to visualize and like remind yourself of what you came up with is perfectly fine. It doesn't have to be resembling the final design. That's the whole point of creating thumbnail sketches. So don't waste too much time really refining your sketches, because it's mainly for you. However, if you end up creating some nice sketches, of course, it's also good to include in your presentation. If you use the project in your portfolio, it's always good to show where the ideas came from and your thinking process. But for instance, in this case, I would just switch to a different color again. And then I feel like the ingredients could be added maybe on top of the design. I mean, on top of the circle, running around like this. And the good thing about this is that it would allow for less text or more text, depending on how much ingredients there is in a dish. So what I would make sure is they always start at the same place. So if it goes a little bit too down, it might be a little bit hard to read. So again, thinking of functional design, I think around 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock is where they should start, and then they can keep running in this direction. So obviously it's a left to right reading direction. And by the way, the title can start at, or the name of the dish can start at 6 o'clock and then keep going up. But going back to this color that we use, by the way, if you double tap on your, tap and hold on your color on the top right, it should switch to the previously used color. But yeah, so some designs might have the text going further. Just going to make my brush a bit thinner, while others will have less ingredients, so they only run up to there. Let me know what you think about this idea. This is just one of many ideas that I had. We can have, obviously, fill up the space here. We can have the motto written up here. We have a nice space here for text. I'm just going to make it look like there is some text there. And then we could also have maybe a cool little badge here with the "let us eat." I'm just going to write that there, "let us eat." And that could also be in a circle or like a badge style. And then we can have some information here as well if we need. But that would already fill in this page quite nicely. And then moving on, just gonna check if I have, moving on, I'm gonna draw the back of this design before I move on to the next idea. So let's pick this green one. So the back, like I said before, would be about building your own salad, and then soups and the drinks. So here, if I just scroll down a bit, we are now working with this segment of the copy. I feel like the build your own salad is very important. So either we can dedicate 2/3 to that and 1/3 to the soups and drinks. So what I think is divide the page into 2/3, where we have this side for the build your own salad, and on the right side we could have the drinks. So I think that's what I'm going to do on this version. So I will do soups and sides. book, and then we do drinks. As simple as that. And then we have the build salad section. Now I'm not even going to go into thinking more about it, how I want to do it on within that, because that's generally already like laid out all the important segments or sections we talked about. So we have number 1 on the first page, and then we have the other 3 on the second page. Simple as that. Okay, now what other things can we do here? If I had time, I would normally do at least 5 to 10 of these. So for both front and back, I would do variations. I'm just going to do maybe one more. I don't think we have to spend too much time here on the live stream, because you can already see what I would normally do. What I will do though is I will borrow one of these circles, and I'll bring it over here. Okay, so our bowl, a salad bowl, and maybe this time we can explore what happens if we make them bigger. I'm also thinking, yeah, I think big is good. And then let's just see if I place it being cropped, how would we be able to fit it in a clever way? If I created a clipping mask, we would be able to work even faster, but I'm just going to do this quickly. So let's do one there, one here. They could even like completely be next to each other like that. Duplicate. If I have 2 at the bottom like that, I think we will have space. Oops. We will have, come on. Duplicate. We'll have space for all of them. Oops. And the last one. Notice how I'm trying to also make sure that I don't crop too much of the elements, because I want to make sure that all the ingredients are visible. And if you remember the designs or the images that we generated, they have obviously some of these images have the ingredients or specific ingredients in just one corner of the dishes. So that's clearly important to keep in mind. I am just going to come back here, select these top 5 of the images, and group them together. Yep, and then combine them, not combine them, merge them, or flatten them, sorry, yeah, that's the one. And then let's just erase out these bits here. Again, I am not too worried about making this super tight. I'm just thinking of placement. So yeah, if I made them big, and that's one thing that in design again is very, it works really well, especially if you have really good images that you want to focus on those images. So scaling things up, making something very big can work really well. Usually it works well if you can contrast it with smaller elements. So what I think here we could do, I'm going to use this blue color again just to change my color, and I am just going to yeah, I already made a mess here in the layers. I'm not going to worry about it, but obviously we would have to have the menu written somewhere. And by the way, it would say salad bar menu. I don't have to write everything down in my sketch. Again, doesn't make sense. Hey Neha, it's nice to see you. Thanks for joining. Yeah, so what I thought we could do, obviously we have a big space here in the middle, which we'll have to think about how to fill. But what I can do is to have a little segment in the middle cropped out, and that's where we put the text, right? So that would be quite interesting. Look at the circles I'm drawing. Is it for some reason Procreate? Yeah, doesn't want to help me out. Okay, again, we don't have to do this for all of them, but you can imagine already that we would just have a white circle overlaid on the center of these balls, and then we would add the ingredients there and the description and the name of the dishes. Now the name of the dishes could even be further overlaid, having written like this with big letters. The only issue with that is that we would have to make sure, again, we don't cover up too much of the images, but because they are so big already, they should still have enough space to reveal what the dish is about. But another thing that we could do is, actually, no, I think this is fine. The only issue with this is that some of the names are quite long, like this one. So we might need to simplify this a bit. This one is called the I am trying to be healthy salad. So if we were to go with this layout, that might be very long. Most of them are actually quite long, apart from kale, yeah. With kale, yeah, it would work really well. The classic overachiever, that is a little bit long as well. So for this example, I might have to simplify the names. Maybe give them like a keyword that really separates them apart from the others, and then the more descriptive title can be written inside these bubbles. Sorry, I'm not showing my iPad now. So yeah, the more descriptive title could be in that bubble. Yeah, so we will see. We will see if it works or not. But what would I use the center part? Well, we could have the motto written there. We can also have some smaller like ingredients floating around these dishes to make it look like it was on the same table, just laid out next to each other. I think that would work quite nicely. And then, to be honest, for the back, the only thing that I would think of doing differently is how I separate the page. So if we think about how the first page was laid out in these big circles, maybe one thing that we could do for the second page is to try to replicate that somehow. So what we could do is perhaps use a big like semicircle on the top, like that, which is for the build your salad section. And then for the soups and sides, we could use a circle. Again, we could think of doing a circle like this, maybe. One section there. Let me just draw this better. Like a segment, like that. And another segment there. Again, it goes with the same style that we have above. And then I will just write things in here. So this is the build salad section, soups plus drinks, no, soups and sides, and then drinks. Okay, yeah, so that's one other one. And you can see one of the important things that I am keeping in mind is I want to have connection between these elements. So I want to make sure, I mean the front and the back of the design, I want to make sure that this, the front and the back, either when it's looked next to each other, remember again it could be on two displays on the wall, they should really feel like they are part of the same thing. And again, the same thing here with this design. We would have to somehow bring the aesthetics and the general feel of what we created here to the second page. And that could simply just be the colors and the fonts and like the proportions of things that we are using. But it could be also like an overarching theme that what I've been doing here of using these cropped circles that appear both on the front and the back. The really like big shapes that we unify the design. All right, so are we happy with this to move ahead, or anyone has any better suggestions? I'm just gonna have a bit of drink while I wait for the comments. By the way, also let me know in the chat if you are working on this with me or you are just watching. Whoever is working on it with me, let me know. I'm curious to see if anyone is actually doing the co-design while you are watching. Also, just like I'm curious to see who prefers the first layout, the one on the left, and who prefers the one on the right. Tina is saying she's making some quick sketches and type studies. That's great. Jason is just watching. Adriana, nice to have you on the stream. You just said that's great. Awesome. Robin is working. Jason is saying he prefers the left one. I'll just wait a little bit longer just to see what everyone else is saying. Robin prefers the one on the right with the off-sided stuff, so the slightly out of balance things. I agree, that could be interesting. Yeah, cool. Okay, so I am going to keep my iPad ready in case I want to go back to it. Tina also likes the right one. Adriana likes the right one. It's more dynamic. Cool. Let's see if we have time to do both. That would be interesting if we could do both of them, because that's, by the way, is also something that I like to do. If I don't like to settle too much into one layout before refining it completely. So, and it's also good to do that and present to the client a couple of options. At least I normally would do 3 variations. So in this case, again, we can try to do maybe both of these if we have time for it. But based on the feedback that you guys are giving me, there's actually most of you are preferring the right one. So I might start with that. Okay, now time to actually start putting things together in InDesign now that we have our sketch. Okay, so let's jump into InDesign. Okay, first things first, I will set up my layers. I normally would work with a layer for the text. Actually, I will do a background layer first, then I will create a layer for the text, and then finally a layer for images. Now the images in this case most likely will be under the text, so that will be the order of the layers, but many cases you might need to end up creating a 4th layer wherever images overlap text, if we ever want to do that, but normally this is the order that you want to place them. And we will be using paragraph styles for sure, so I will keep them up here. I will also pop in the character styles because we will be using those as well. The pages we already set up, so we don't have to worry about that. And I think that's it for now. By the way, it's just worth mentioning that you can also generate things directly within InDesign. You can use generative fill or similar, the same thing that relies on Adobe Firefly within InDesign. Is the text-to-image model. I mean, you can see that if we use one of the prompts that I used in Midjourney, just as an interesting experiment, one of these that I feel like has worked out really well, like this one. We could try this out and create a frame. I'm just making it square format, drop the text in here, and then I'll say generate. I think that's all I need to set up. So this is the text-to-image Adobe Firefly feature within InDesign. The reason I'm showing this is because obviously not all of you have access to Midjourney, and you can see it actually did a really good job. It's not bad at all. Like this one in particular looks really good. So yeah, they look realistic. In a way, you could even argue that might be even better than Midjourney. So it's surprising sometimes how good Firefly can be, while in other cases how bad it can be. But it is definitely worth experimenting with it if you need to generate assets. And although, of course, you can also look online for stock assets that are actually based on photographs, real photographs. If that's very important for the client, you have to obviously make sure you do that. But what I like to do is, even if I end up using a generated image in my composition, I can just tell the client that if you like the way this looks, we can just have a day of photo shoot with your chef, and then do these actual real photographs laid out in a similar fashion. So I think the amazing thing about generated images is that it is very useful for your client to understand what you're after without you spending too much time scouring the internet looking for actual stock photos, which in most cases, like here, where we needed the specific ingredients, not just any ingredients, we wanted these ingredients, these specific greens, to be laid out next to each other in a circular format. That would be very hard to find, almost impossible, because it's so specific. Again, like coming back here, if we look at, for instance, the protein options, to make sure it's exactly these protein options that we had in the menu are displayed in a circular design, I'm almost sure that you wouldn't find that exact example without you obviously having to put things together manually, and that could take a long time, and in the end the client might change their mind and they don't even want that direction. So for exploration and quick iteration, generative AI is brilliant. Okay, so I'm just gonna drop this here on the pasteboard. I just wanted to mention this, that we have this option here, of course. But what I'm going to do is to download these images. So first of all, I need these 5 images. So I will download original images, and I will drop these into my other folder where I'm working. So files, and I'm gonna create a links folder and drop them in there. And I'm actually gonna rename these, and I'll call it signature salads. And yep, like that. Okay, now we can drop them into InDesign. And in InDesign, you have this feature called Gridify. If you click and drag and then you press right arrow a couple of times, you can place all of them in. I'm just going to place them in all at once. And then the first thing we will have to do is to get rid of their original background. And also I'm just going to make sure that these are fitted within their frame. Like that, yeah. So let me just zoom a little bit closer. Okay, so first quick thing to do is to mask these out. So that is not something that we currently have in InDesign. It would be actually a very useful feature to have the remove background here. If anyone knows of a way to get that within InDesign, let me know, but I don't believe they have that here yet. Most likely they will bring it in. Generative expand is there, so we can expand images, but we can't remove the background quickly. So for that, I need to Alt or Option double click on the image, which will open it up in Photoshop, and there we have the remove background option. However, as you can see, found the edges quite well, but because the ball is so similar to the background color, it still didn't do a good job. So I'm going to try using the circular selection, so elliptical marquee tool, and let me just redo this. Click and drag, and then with the space bar you can actually, even better, let's just use a shape, the ellipse tool, set to path, and let's just draw this path. And then what we can do is to align it top and bottom like that. Drag this down a bit here on the top. If there's any details that come out of the ball, we can obviously adjust that, but for now I feel like that's quite close to what we need. And then we just turn this into a vector mask by command or control clicking on the mask icon. So that's going to create a vector mask, and then we just have to make sure that this is saved as a Photoshop file. And then within InDesign we just have to drop the Photoshop file version in to replace the JPEG. Boom. That's it. Okay. There was a subtle difference in the colors. I believe that's because in the original we had sRGB, in the new one we have Adobe RGB. But it's also important to check within the document setup. Actually, not document setup, sorry. We need to go into the I can't find the setting now. Actually, let's not worry about this for now. I think it should be fine. But anyway, we have now this one masked out. So let's just repeat the same thing quickly for these other ones. I'm gonna Alt Option double click on this other image, withdraw again a path. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle. And then let's just adjust it to the edges. Actually, before we do this, let's see if the remove background works here. No, it still doesn't. So we just stick to our path and vector mask option. Because we are using a PSD file, I am not too concerned about making this perfect. It's just like a rough shape, and then we turn it into a mask, save. Can always refine this later. That one is done. Let's drop it back in. Boom. Okay. And then we have to do it quickly with the other two. And here I can see already that we have a little detail coming out of the edges of the ball. So that is something that we have to account for with our mask. Let's see if I can fit this in here. By the way, if you have a path that doesn't seem to be working well, you can also go in and use the direct selection tool and adjust the handles to fit it even closer. Like here you can see I'm adjusting it like this. Already looks more closely fitted. I can also move that point a bit higher. That one fills in that space better. So yeah, if I want it to be more specific, I can do this adjustments and move that one out a bit. And at the bottom as well, we can fit this a little bit more in. Hopefully this is a useful technique for everyone. But yeah, so what would I do here is I would first create a mask from this path. Command, click on the mask, and then I would select the mask and reduce the density so I can see where the leaf is supposed to be. And then use the pen tool, set it to add or combine shapes, and just simply having that mask selected, it's important the mask needs to be highlighted, you can draw over that missing part, and I can follow along the shape of that detail that comes out, and that's it. Just go around it and book, done. And then I will go back and increase the density, and it looks good. Let's see, yeah, looks great. Just showing it close up to everyone. So it's two shapes now within the mask. If I go back, there's one shape there and a big shape behind. All non-destructive, obviously, because it's all vector shapes, and it's saved as a mask. So now we come back here, drop it in, boop, done. And then I think we have two more to do. That one doesn't seem to have any shapes outside of it. I mean, any out of bounds details we should be worried about. We need to worry about. Let's drag this down. Like I said, I'm not gonna spend too much time refining this for now. Just get it roughly in place, and then boop, save, and close, and drop in here. This was number 5. Yep, ready. And then number 2 is the last one. Shape, draw, and align. And we are done. Oh, sorry, mask. That's it, save, close, and bring in select 2. Okay, cool. So that was a little bit time consuming, but we still have to obviously set things up that way. Now, if you remember my layout, let's just bring back the iPad. So we were thinking of doing this layout. I'm going to start with dish number 1. Doesn't really matter what order we do. And actually what I will do is I put them like this, and I'm going to make them bigger. Command Shift drag. I want to make sure that they are the same size. I feel like that's probably the size that will fit on the page. So for now, I am just going to align them. I think that was number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 with the chicken and the salmon on the top. And this is where we have to make sure that all the ingredients are visible. Like, this is the only salad where the ingredients are all evenly spread out. Oh, and by the way, look at our beautiful out of bound masking of that leaf. I'll make sure that overlaps the other plate. See? These subtle little things like this really matter. Can make the design work well. Since we spend time on doing that masking, I make sure that it's actually utilized in a way. Here, I just move this out a bit. Okay, so I want to make sure, okay, in this case, I feel like, yeah, all the ingredients are visible here. Yeah, we are not losing anything. All the ingredients are visible. This one, let's see. Okay, I think these tortillas are still visible a bit, but maybe if we rotate the whole thing this way, that works better, because we already have the avocado on the left. So the avocado can be the detail that is being cropped this way. Okay, now we see all the ingredients nicely. Then we come to the top, and I feel like here again, let's just see if we rotate this around. Okay, rockets, blueberries, salmon, quinoa, avocado. I think if we do it like this, it looks quite nice. with the salmon slices set in horizontal. It looks quite nice, while the chicken slices are vertical. That's just a little bit of orientation makes it look better, I feel like. Okay. How does this look so far? Let me know. I'm gonna just do a quick save, and just curious to see what everyone thinks of this. So once again, it's based on our sketch that we created up here. That's the sketch that we are trying to replicate, and we will now start to add the text. So I am not going to worry about the font choices just yet. I'm worried about the placement first. So that's another thing that you can really waste a lot of time on, choosing the right fonts. I am a firm believer of first setting up a layout is more important, where things go, what sizes the text will take, and then think about the actual fonts. So in a way, I use like a placeholder text, even though the text itself is actually using already the copy that we work with, but the actual font choice comes later. That's almost like dressing up the text. That's the way I think about it anyway. So I like to put the mannequins in place first and then the dresses. Okay, so salad bar menu. That's our title. Done. Let's make this bigger. Okay. We can decide how we want to put this. I'm gonna just do it in 2 lines for now, and then I will align it to our margin just to see where the margin is. Yeah, the margin might be a little bit too big, but we'll see again later how that works out. I will probably make the menu already bigger. So let's just have a little bit more space here. Let's make the menu bigger, and I'm going to reduce the tracking. And now I'm just going to make the whole thing a little bit smaller. Okay, that's good. Whenever you resize text, you can use keyboard shortcuts in InDesign, Command or Control Shift, full stop to increase, comma to decrease the size, Alt or Option up and down arrow is to change the leading. And also you can, when you have things set up the right way, you can also use Command or Control Shift, drag a corner point to change the size also quickly. So we have the name up there. Now, if we go back to Milanote, I just want to go back to our copy and remind ourselves, actually not this one, remind ourselves the slogan was let us eat. But there's also these taglines: tossed with love, dressed to impress, and always ready to crunch. Or a crispy, crunchy wonderland where every bite is an adventure. Or welcome to the wild side of salads, bold, fresh, and totally delicious. I quite like that one. Welcome to the wild side of salads. Now, if we are going for a copy like this, we have to also think about how we can represent that in terms of styling. So if we want to go for a bit wild, we can maybe make our main typography a bit wild, or maybe have some elements that maybe it's just something like hand-drawn lines that makes things look a little bit crazy. I think I'm gonna go for this, and I will emphasize that. Equally, if I went for another copy where it says dressed to impress, tossed with love, there maybe hearts could be elements that we would use. Dressed to impress, again, something that emphasizes dressing up nicely. Here it's more about the bites, crunch and crispy. So each of these copies emphasizes a specific angle, and that as a designer you should and you have to emphasize and play with. Okay, I'm just gonna do a space there. Yeah. Already I will remove the hyphens from this text to make sure it won't get hyphenated. I will make it bigger and then center it for now. and maybe make it something like that. Okay, now don't worry about the font choices. Like I said, it's just the default fonts. Mini and Pro looks really bad or like really boring. It's not bad, it's a very good font, but it just looks boring at the moment. But you will see how much it will improve once we find the right fonts to work with. But we just want to put things in place first. That's the most important thing. Where things go is more important. I'm gonna have another copy somewhere with the like tagline or like this other slogan, the "Let us eat." And this one I will put in all capitals, no hyphens. So let's just put that somewhere at the bottom. That could always go in here or on the top right. We can find a place for it later. And then while I can see that Tina just uploaded something, quick start for the menu, some sketches. Let's have a look at them. Quick layout iterations. This looks good. So you have, oh, you already done some type research as well. That's great. This might actually help me. I might ask you which fonts are these, and then some type and image collection pairing. Very nice. Yeah, they look good. I can see how you're trying to already choose the right type of images that connects with specific fonts. Like, yeah, this font here is really cool. I like that. Do you mind telling me what this font is? The first one. I like that a lot. And I also liked the font here. This is quite nice. Maybe if you can also share that font with me, that would be useful. Phoenix Sans. Okay. Let me search for this quickly. Find more. So within InDesign, if someone goes to find more, you should be able to search for a font. I'm just going to do Phoenix Sans. Oh, no. Okay, let's just go into type Adobe fonts. It's easier online actually to do this. Sorry, not Sans, Sans. Phoenix Sans. Is that Adobe fonts, Tina, or is it? It seems like it might not be Adobe fonts. I'm just going to search for it separately. Might be on that font. Let's see if it's here. Ah, yeah, I found that one. Okay. So we can already have that one ready. Okay, and then the other one was airbag free. I can't find that one here. It doesn't seem like it's that font. It's a different site, and it might actually be based on another font, another paid font. So I don't want to encourage anyone doing this, but for the demonstration, what we will do here, I'm just gonna also install this quickly. Let's just take a look at this font again. Yeah, I think it's not really what I'm after. Actually, I'm gonna skip this one. I'm not sure about that font anyway. But yeah, let's continue. We'll come back to fonts later. For now, I wanted to just see what else Tina did here. So we have the layout as well, which is looking good. Yeah, I like the portrait format. I really like the right, left, right angle with the big text in the middle. That works really well. Yeah, this is also good on the left side. Seasonal special highlighted. Yeah, it's cool. Really nice. Nice work. Awesome. If anyone else wants to upload their ideas, feel free to share it through the Google Drive link that I included. And then okay, let's jump back into InDesign. So we want to have, like I said before, these shapes on top of the dishes, cutting out from them. Probably I want to have around that much space utilized. So I will just change the color to white. Okay. And then I want to make sure they are aligned in the perfect center of the shapes behind them. So I align and align like that. I just use the align center horizontally and vertically option. And then I will make sure that the same shape is duplicated for each of these other shapes here. So again, I will align center, center, like that. And then if I need to, I can move these two back where I wanted them to be. Okay, now already I can see that in this case, the berries are getting lost a bit because they were more in the center of the dish, but they are still slightly visible, so I'm not too concerned. So I think it's okay for now. Then let me also just do something quickly. I realized that my text is not on the text layer, so I'm just going to select them and drop them on the text layer, and I will lock that layer for now. I will also lock my background layer so that I don't accidentally put things there. This shape can be on the images layer because it's connected to the images. So again, I'm going to align these two to each other and then move it back down. Yep, that looks good. Now here this circle starts to end up being too close to the edge of the page. That could be an issue. So what I would try to do is to move these up a bit like that, and then this can go a little bit to the left. Okay, let's put one more of these up here. Again, align, align. Looks good. Then align, align on that one as well. Boom, boom, and then move it back up. Yeah, I think the plates can overlap a bit. Subtle overlap like that looks realistic. I think something like that. Again, make sure it doesn't go too far to the edge. The box, at least that circle, has to come down a bit more. I feel like it's to be closer to the margin. Okay, and then I can lock the images now, and we will be working with the text. So Robin says it reminds her of donuts. Yes, right now it does, but once we have the text there, I think it's going to work a little bit better. But certainly that is an issue, that it could look like donuts. But let's see how it will look once we have the text in. So I'm going to change the text size probably down to 10 points for now. And then let's bring in the copy. So we have to go back to Milanote. And we need the, where is it? Zoom out a bit. A second copy. So let's start with this one. The classic overachievers copy. We have to also remember to make space for the prices. So first this one, I will make the text even smaller like that. Center text would make sense. I don't like center text, but in this case I think that makes sense. So I will just keep it like that. Or we could use actually a circle for our text, I guess. Again, I don't like setting text in a circle, but maybe in this case we can make an exception. So if I use the same shape that we have here, that white shape, we could actually put the text inside that. So if I copy this text and I use my type tool and click inside that shape, I can just put the text in there. And then what I would do in InDesign is press Command or Control B, B for I don't know, border. You can remember it from that, but that's the text frame options. Box actually probably makes more sense, text box. And then use the inset spacing. Probably you want to increase it up to 3 millimeters, and then click OK. You want to make sure the text doesn't have hyphenation, and we're just gonna make the text smaller, maybe 7 points for now, or 8 points. Let's do 7 points like that. And then I'm actually gonna do one additional thing. I'm going to align it to the center like that. I think that looks quite good. Okay, now already that's one thing that we could apply to all of these circles by creating an object style. So I go to Window menu, Styles, Object Styles, and then create a new style while this one is selected. Alt or Option, click on the plus sign, and then call it small circle text boxes. Circular text box. Apply style to selection. OK. And then we can select all of these other ones and select the same style for them. OK. Clear overrides. Yeah, it should work. And then let's just use the same copy, and I'm just going to quickly drop it into each of these just to see if it worked. Yes, it worked. Now I'm just going to bring in the copy from Milanote. So we have the second one, the kill, which is this one. There is something that didn't get. The inset spacing doesn't seem to be working for some reason. Yeah, that just didn't refresh correctly. That's very strange. One of the quirks of InDesign. Never seen that before. But I'm just gonna update all of them quickly. Okay. So this one is in already in the right place. We have to get the other one, Caesar, you can't resist. Yep. Then we have the spicy situation salad. Drop that in, and then the last one, and drop that in there. Okay. Cool. All right. Svetla, it's not important to show the real images of the salads. That's just one angle that I wanted to explore in this workshop. However, you can do a complete, like, just a design purely on typography with a couple of simple illustrations, similar to what I have on the board here. If I go a bit further down, I have a couple of examples. Like, you could have illustrations more abstract like these ones, or you can see in the references as well, like even a line art could work like this. So yeah, it doesn't have to be photographic menu. I just thought that that's the angle I'm gonna explore here. Obviously, we could do so many different ones, but for now I am gonna work with this, and I'm just checking the margins. Most of my text is within the margins, so that's fine. Apart from this one here on the left is a little bit too close to the edge, but this could be always moved higher a little bit. Just move that away. Yeah, now it's closer to the center. Okay, now we need to make sure we have space for the names of these dishes, and for this, like I mentioned earlier, we can explore different layouts. I thought of having the name overlaid on the image again, so I am just going to use another circle, just an empty frame, a circle, and it would be useful to align it with that other shape behind it. So I would just align it like this for now, and I will put this on the text layer. It makes sense to have it there, and to be honest, all of these circles should be on the text layer as well. So I'm just going to hide this for a second, this circle, and I'm going to move these shapes, because now we have them in those circles. They should actually be on the text layer. Yeah, and that circle that I just created, I want to put on top. For now, actually, I will just do a separate layer. It will make more sense separating things. So these will be the salad names or dish names. Dish names. And I'll put that circle in there so I can lock this and the images as well. Okay, now this I remember was called Kale. Yeah, I have this one selected, and then if I go on to the type on a path tool here in InDesign, we can just click on the the circle, and type in Kale. Yeah, as the title or the name. And what I'm going to do is just choose a font like Hevitas is a font that we like to use a lot, or Avenir is a good for now. Fat Frank is a good one as well. All of these could work quite nicely. I'm going to make it big, and I will set it to white. And so we have to check whether it's going to be visible enough. And of course, when you use this feature, you will be able to move the start and end point around easily. So I normally would set the end point to be the bottom, so that's like 6 o'clock, and then the start point can be moved around easily. Like in this case, I feel like somewhere around here is a good start because the kale is there. But again, we could go back to the image itself and we can rotate it around just making sure we don't lose the sauce at the bottom. Yeah, something like that. Now come back to the text and now rotate it around a little bit again. Yeah, something like that. I feel like if all of the dishes just have 2 words, this styling could work and it could be quite nice and interesting. Someone is asking if we could reduce the opacity of these circles that are overlaid on the salads. Yeah, that could work. It could certainly work. If I go into the object transparency of this object, we could do that. So if I just go to the because you can't do it with the tint, it has to be the transparency. Let's go into window, object, actually it's not transparency, what is it called here in InDesign for the opacity? I forgot. Effects, that's the one. We need the effects panel. So having this selected, I want the fill opacity to be reduced, just to see how it looks. Not sure why it's not updating. Oh, I have the wrong layer selected. So it's not the images, the text layer, this one. So fill opacity reduced. Yeah, you see, I mean, it could be a good idea. It would work, but it's going to make the text hard to read. You could always have it slightly see-through, like 90%. But to be honest, I'm not a big fan of doing that. You will see a bit more of the food, but like I said, we are not covering up important elements of the food. We see enough of the ingredients around the circle, so I actually prefer to keep it like this, because when you look at this from a distance, I'm just going to make my screen bigger. Notice how seeing through the circle doesn't really add much to the design. We obviously can see the whole bowl now, so it looks a little bit less like donuts, like Robin mentioned it, but it just reduces the visibility or legibility of the text. So in terms of function, this is a disadvantage. So yeah, we could try other colors as well, but I like the simplicity of it, the way it looked before. So I'm just going to go back to having it fully filled with white. We can explore different colors. That's actually quite a good idea. So if we were to have a color like, I don't know, I like a blue color, and then obviously the text itself could be white, something like that. That is actually a better idea. I like that more. And of course we could have something funky and interesting color. So if I go into let's just do HSB, we can pick I could even pick colors from the dish itself, but I'm just gonna pick something like a nice pastel color like this. I think that's already working a little bit better. I'm gonna keep it like this for now, and we will come back to that later. But yeah, this is something that I already like a little bit more, and we could experiment with different colors. Maybe just keep it like that. Maybe make it a little bit darker. The only thing with this is we probably will need to use the same color for all of the circles, otherwise it can get a little bit too overwhelming. Or potentially we could use have like a pattern: white, green, white, green, white, something like that. And then if the text was set in green as well, it would create that pattern or continue that pattern in a circle. Yeah. So that's really good input. Thank you so much for that. I will continue adding the titles or the names, the dish names. So let me just copy this text and move it over here. and try to align this with the other circle. So one circle and then the crunchy circle, align, and then we just lost the alignment in the center of that frame, but for now I'm gonna keep it like this. I think that's fine. So this one is the original text here was, if we go back, it was Caesar, you can't resist. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT to help me. And let's just give this salad bowl dish a name made up of 2 words, 2 short words. Give me 10 options. Let's see. Okay, Caesar Crunch is good. Crisp Royale is good as well. Togatos. I think I will go for Caesar Crunch. I think that's quite nice. Yeah, Caesar Crunch. Looks good. Now again, I can already see that the text will be very hard to read in this format. So that's again something that we will have to address. I can obviously move this text a little bit higher, maybe align it to the right. We can also check if we can adjust the image by rotating the image if it gets any more legibility. You see already here it looks a bit better, the legibility. Notice how that detail that we worried about before moved up now. But of course we could introduce a little bit of drop shadow. I am very keen on avoiding using drop shadows, but in this case I think we could introduce it in a mild way. If you Alt or Option click on the drop shadow, you can have refinements on it. I will have 0 distance, and I am going to have maybe the size a little bit bigger. Yeah, something like this. I think that's quite nice. So immediately text looks better. So now we can just turn back the dish even in this direction or orientation. We can still read it. Yeah, I think that looks good. And then of course this can be saved as another object style. Remember that with in InDesign, whenever you use opacity setup or an effect like drop shadow, that needs to be saved as an object style, while paragraph style, just to show you, doesn't include that option. So we have to save this both as a paragraph style, which we can already do now. I will save it and I'll call it dish name, signature dish name, or bowl. Yeah, let's just call it signature salad name. And apply style to selection. Yep, that's fine. And once we have saved that one, we can go into styles, object styles, and I'm going to put this here in the bottom just so we can come back to it. And we want to also save this as the signature salad name, or we can just call it subtle shadow, and we can save it like that. By the way, if I include the paragraph style within the object style, so in a way nesting it in there, it will be easier to apply. So now, for instance, if I select this one here, I can just choose this subtle shadow object style, and it automatically also applies the paragraph style. Just to demonstrate this, if I select that text and change the font to something else, like that, having it selected, I just choose the subtle shadow object style and say clear overrides. Oh, why is it not changing it? Set it to none, and then that. Not sure why it's not. Apply style and clear. Just clear or all. Still not doing it. Not sure why. But I'm just gonna go with both styles saved. Yeah, that was strange. Something I forgot to set up probably here. But yeah, that's fine. Let's just put this quickly up here. I'm gonna move the text down, and then we need the name for this one. So this was the third one. Did I put it in the right place? The other one, yes, that's the Caesar Crunch. That's fine, Kalia. And this fourth one was the Spicy Situation. Spicy Situation, we might be able to fit that in. Let's see if I move this down a bit. Yeah, I think that's okay. And it has already the shadow on it as well. Without the shadow looks like this. With the shadow looks like that. Yeah, I think it's okay. Looks good. And then we can have the last one. Now this one will be slightly tricky because we need to fit the text at the bottom of the circle. I mean, it's not that tricky. You just have to be clever about it, how we do this. So what we need to do here, and I'm gonna just show this on the side just to make sure it's easy to see what I'm doing. So the last salad name is called the I am trying to be healthy salad. I'm going to again use ChatGPT and then say I want just 2 words for this. These ingredients: Vital Bite, Power Leaf, Berry Boost, Zen Bowl. I like that. Zen Bowl. Let's just call it Zen Bowl. Okay, so what I wanted to show, again, is very strange. Why is it having the shadow of the... It wasn't refreshing the shadow straight away. And let me... Oh yeah, so what I wanted to show here is that obviously instead of having the text being upside down like that, we will have to write this in the other orientation. So what you need to do is to find this tiny little thing. I will move it in the other layer just so you can see it. This tiny little thing, which is the center point of the text, and drag that inside. That's how simple it is. You just have to drag that inside. It's not very intuitive, but that's what you need to look for. Once again, this is the starting point of your text here. I'm going to put it on the left, and that's the end point of your text on the right. If I have enough space to see where that little shape is, that's the center point, that's what you need to drag inside. And once you drag it inside of the circle, then you will be able to align the starting and end point. I would normally go for something like this: start point and end point. And yeah, I don't know what's going on with the shadow. I'm just going to turn it back on again. But what you have to really be careful about using text on a path set in the inside of the shape is that it can look very messy because all the characters are like dragged really close to each other, so the tracking gets messed up. There's two quick fixes for this. Either use Alt or Option key and then press right arrow a couple of times. And then you can also go in and manually turn things around a bit more. But what I like to do also is to use Option or Alt Shift down arrow, which is baseline shift, and move the text out all the way outside of the circle. And this way you can even reset the tracking. So if I go into the tracking, I can just set it to 0. And we can actually reduce the tracking by Alt or Option left arrow. Something like that. You see, immediately looks better. I'm just going to increase the space between the words and custom track these characters a bit more. Refresh the shadow, and now we can go back onto the text, onto the image, and let's find a good spot for it. Yeah, somewhere like that. It looks quite good to me. So let's just save the work that we've done so far. Let me have a quick break and look at the comments. So we still have an hour left. Hopefully I can finish both the front and the back of the menu. Okay. All right, so let's continue by, actually we have one more name we forgot to add, the classic overachiever. Well, again, that's a mouthful, so I will have to ask ChatGPT to reduce that for us and make a 2-word version of it. Fresh fix is quite good. Chill crunch, classic bite. Classic bite I like as well. Easy leaf, even better. They are all really good, but easy leaf I like. So let's just do that. So let's copy this one. Let's rotate it around, and then easy leaf. Good stuff. Aligned it a bit more, keep it in the margin, looking good. Nice. Now, by the way, for all of these, I use the same paragraph style, which will make it easy to update this. So if I want to go back and change the font, for instance, to Habitus, another font I often use, you see how quickly we can update everything. And in this case, if we feel like it's too big, we can also update the size. That's the beauty of paragraph styles. See how quickly I could update everything. And if we just take a look at this before and after, so that was the before and that's the after. I feel like this font is definitely more legible. So when compared to this one is more legible, especially in this format. So I might actually stick to using this one. The other one has a little bit more character though. What would you choose, whoever is watching live? Second option, it's called Habitus, that font, or the first one, which is called, what was the name of this font? Is the Fat Frank. So is it Fat Frank better? Which one shall I go with? Or Habitus? again, Fat Frank, and this is Heavitas. I think I will go with the second one. Sebastian saying the first one has a bit more personality. Tina is saying first one as well. Pratham is saying Heavitas. Yeah, Adriana, you are right. It will depend on the other options. So, I mean, in these cases, another thing that I often do in InDesign is I actually create a variation paragraph style. So it's just a quick way of switching back and forth. So if I go to save this one, actually let's just go back to that one. So I duplicate this style and I'll call it V2, or I can, let's just call it V2. And then I go back and change it to Heavitas, and I believe it was, how much was it? Probably 28 points. That way we can quickly have all of these dish names selected because we have them all on the same layer. Why is that one not on that layer? The Zambol. Where is Zambol? Is it that one? Ah, yeah, I put that on the wrong layer. Okay, so if I have all the dish names selected, I can now very quickly switch between the two. The only issue here is obviously because we used a different baseline shift on one of them, that's gonna get messed up. So I'm not gonna do this. It just complicates things a bit. In case we didn't have it that way set up, it would be easy to switch back and forth. But I am going to go with I'm making a mess here now. I'm going to go with the second one for now. So Heavitas, and just reduce the size to there. And let's see if it fits everywhere. Maybe this one needs to come a little bit down. Not the ideal angle for it to be red, but yeah, for now it should be okay. And then just update the shadows on all of them. Okay, now, before I forget, I will also change the this shape here to the same color as that. Which what I'm gonna do is save this as a swatch. And let's just do this, save, add to swatches, and then we can select it from the swatches easily. It was this one, and then the text was set to white for now. Now it would be important to choose the font that we want to use for the text, the body copy, and let's not forget about the price. So that's also something very important we have to make space for. So the price is just one of these. Let's do this first one, $9.99. Okay, so I'm gonna do just the price for now in a box. I feel like it would probably make sense to have it either at the bottom or above. For now, I'm just gonna put it here at the bottom. And for this one, I think it would make sense to use the same font just in either the green or black. For now, I'm going to keep it black. And I'm still not set on this font, by the way. I'm just thinking out loud for the moment. So that could be our price. Again, if I switch to the other font, Fat Frank, let's see how the numbers look on that one. That definitely looks better on the numbers. I like the numbers on this one better. So for now, I'm just gonna keep it like that. And then let's do a white version of it as well, just so we can see it. And the scale was, what was the price on that? Scale $10.99. Okay, I can already see one issue would be that if we keep the text centered, it's gonna leave a big gap here on the top. But what we could always do is to put maybe spice level there on the top with little like spice or chili icons. I think that would be quite good, because like this fourth one is definitely very spicy. It could be a useful thing to indicate for these dishes. So that's, or nutritional icons, like it includes nuts, and I think that's very important. So it would be useful for that space. But so far it's coming together. It's coming together. The decimals could be raised in the price. Very good point. We can set them to be upper, like superscripts, like that, and we can also bring them a bit closer with tracking or kerning, like that. Yeah, in this case I'm 100% sure whether it should be still showing the dot, and the dot should be also set to superscript. If someone can help me with that, let me know whether the dot needs to be, I feel like it needs to be a superscript as well going up. But yeah, for now I'm just going to keep it like this, because I mean it can be lower, what's that, subscript as well. It just goes a little bit too deep by default, but it can be obviously increase higher. I'm gonna keep it bigger for now. We can of course also just make it smaller, simply like that. Reducing the size might be enough. Actually, that's probably the best way of doing it. I think I did 2 steps going down, and I would probably increase the tracking a bit. Yeah, something like that. I think that looks better. Yeah, Jason, no dot if it's in the top superscript format. Sebastian saying we can raise it with an underline. Yeah, that's also a good idea. There's a lot of stylistic options we can do there, and I agree it's worth exploring, but because we are short on time, I'm just going to keep it like this for now, and I'm gonna continue choosing a font for this. So one font that I recently started using quite often is, let me just see if it's saved here. Yeah, it's the Mascalero. It's quite a nice font. It's a serif font. It might be a little bit tricky to read in this regular format, but if we choose bold, I feel like that looks quite nice. It works quite well with this text, but let's see, maybe demi-bold will be enough. Not bad, not bad. So I'll just zoom closer just so everyone can see it better. I will replace this with a semicolon. I think it looks better that way. I think this font probably can go down to 6.5 in size, because it's quite a bold, big font. Yeah, I think that looks quite good. A little bit too much contrast between the serifs and the thicker parts of the text. That's my only concern for small text. That's the only issue that we could have here. But I'm gonna save this as a paragraph style anyway, and I'll call it ingredients. or description. Let's call it description. Signature dish description. Yeah, so that's one option. Let's do a duplicate of this, duplicate this style and call it V2. Let's see another variant on that. So keeping it open like this, we can look for another font. I think another font that I could think of from the top of my head would be DIN. And let's see, with DIN, obviously it's a very nice, easy to read serif, sans serif font. We could probably use the regular version of it, maybe italic. No, italic is hard to read. Demi might be good as well. Yeah, Demi is still good. So let's just click on that. Let's click OK. And then now you can see what I meant when I create two separate paragraph styles, how easy it is to switch between the two. And we could actually test this on all of this text. So if I select all the circles, actually we will have to have a different style for the green one, because that will have to be set in white. But at least for these three, I think I had the wrong thing selected. So the dish names is logged. This text is selected. That one, this one, and this one. So if they are all using that or that. So from a distance, these are the two options. So that's one. I hate the fact that we can't undo in the full screen preview mode. I just have to switch back and forth. I feel like I'm gonna go with the DIN. I actually probably prefer that more. So that's DIN. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that one. Although it would be good to have a nice contrast between the sans serif font on the name, on the dish name, and then having a serif font on the description. But I just feel like it's more legible having the DIN version. What's everyone thinking about it? So the DIN is this, and then once again, this is called Mascalero, another font. I'm gonna go with the DIN, but just let me know what you think, which one works better. I'm gonna create another paragraph style, duplicate, and this should be based on the version 2, and I'm just gonna call it white, and I'll change the color of the text to white, and then update the style. Why don't I get the redefine style here in the right click? It's not letting me redefine the style, but why? Okay, I'll go in manually then. Character color white. Okay. That's it. And then for this one as well. Oops, was the wrong one. Just have to tidy up my layers a bit there. Okay. Okay, I can see everyone voted for DIN. I agree. Sebastian would choose a different font. That's also obviously, if we had more time, I would look for more fonts, but for now I just have to settle for literally the first one that came to mind. But now let's think about choosing the font for the salad bar menu text here on the top. Obviously, it would make sense to use one of these fonts that we are already working with. Currently, we are actually using 3 different fonts, although the Fat Frank and the Heavy Test looks very similar. So we can get away using a different one if we prefer the numbers on one of them. Ideally, you would want to end up using a single font for that, but we could still introduce a different font for the more stylistic details like the main text. And I can't remember, I think it was called Phoenix, that font that we've seen before, which might not be available here because we installed it while InDesign was already open, which is also annoying. Sometimes it doesn't update. Actually, maybe I have to, no, it's there. It's probably not gonna work, but for now, let's just explore it. If I were to use this, I most likely would have it set in 2 separate frames, so I can experiment with it a bit more. Salad bar menu. That R is very hard to read, the lowercase r, so I probably replace that with a capital R. Let's see, the N is also quite hard to read. Menu. The U is very hard, both in capital and lowercase. Looks like an N, which I don't like. So maybe, yeah, maybe like this it's better. Yeah, that's fine. Let's look at the S, lowercase s. That's fine. Uppercase S. And the B. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so it's not bad, but not the best font. I'm not 100% happy with this font, but for now we can just explore. If we were to use something like this, we could obviously use the color that we already settled on, or at least started using for the backdrops. Either the menu can be that or the salad bar. Probably that one makes more sense to use this color on. Salad bar menu, and we could have a little bit of an angle maybe on the menu like this, align it together, and then roughly align it to our margin, or we can drag it more here to fill in this space a bit better. Let's see this in large size. Yeah, not bad, not bad. I'm not a big fan of the N and the U. That's my main concern with this font. So let's just explore one additional option. I am going to just simply duplicate these 2. I'll group them together, duplicate, copy and paste, and close the original one. Or hide, sorry, not close. Let's move it up here. Okay, so of course we could use Habitus, which we already established on the text, the title. Or maybe what we could do, since I like the salad bar, maybe just the menu needs to be in Habitus. That way it's a nice pairing of these 2. Let's see. Just need to reveal a bit more of that. But in this case, I probably would want to keep it straight, and maybe this one can be on an angle a bit. Yeah, maybe something like that. Not sure about the angle. Maybe the whole thing can be on an angle, because otherwise there's just that uncomfortable negative space between the two. I think both of them needs to be on an angle if I want to go for that angle option, a slightly diagonal variation on it, or we can have it going a bit right, this one. Looks a little bit better, fills in the space a bit better, and potentially this could be moved a bit to the right as well, something like that. Yeah, so that's option 1 or option 2. Let me know which one you prefer. Yeah, you can even overlap the two on top of each other, could work as well. The salad bar could be overlapped, like Neha is saying. If that was set on top, it's quite nice. But for now, just for functional design and legibility, I'm gonna keep it separate. So this is option 1. I'll rename the, if it lets me. InDesign is not there it is. Option 1. Title 1. Title 2. Just so I can easily come back to it and rename it. Find it. So title 1 is this with the Phoenix copy, and title 2 is half Phoenix, half Heavitas. Okay, most of you are saying option 2, the mixture. Cool. Okay, yeah, good points, everyone. All right, and then let's not forget to change this also to DIN here in the middle. I don't think the Phoenix would work on this one. I'm just gonna try, but I have a feeling that it will be very hard to read, although that has the most character. Doesn't have any dashed lines, so I'm gonna just use a full stop there and make it bigger. Let's see. Just quickly styling it up so we can have a better idea of how it would look like, and maybe have an angle on it. It would be good to have a different angle than the title, but for that I would have to move the dishes around a bit. For now I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller and see if I can fit it in here. Actually, just keep it like the same angle for now, at least just a subtle angle like that. So the main question is that legible enough? Welcome to the wild side of salads, bold, fresh, and totally delicious. I think it's legible enough, but I don't like the way it is sitting centered there in the center. I think what we need to do is to have this separated into 2 text frames. And then have a slightly different angle like this. I think that's already a little bit better. And maybe what we could do is the totally delicious could be even more emphasized. So bold, fresh, and then have a totally delicious. We could test this in all capitals. Let's see, in all capitals. I think it looks quite good. And that can be again black. Just to have that variation, or maybe this word can be green again. and then a capital, an exclamation mark. Yeah, I think that's quite nice, and we can just move things around a bit. Yeah, not perfect, but not bad either. Yeah, so it has a rhythm, black, green, black, green. Same font that we used and introduced on the title. So there is unity, a nice contrast to the more structured general layout of circles. I wouldn't force having a circle again here. However, for the let us eat, I think we could use the circle. So maybe using the same font that we already established here. I'm just gonna do the let us eat, probably eat in black, and lettuce in green, and then this could be put on a circle. I'm just gonna do a quick circle here, an empty circle frame, like that, and then just copy this text and put it on the thing with the type on a path tool. I love how InDesign always shifts the text around, left align. I'm gonna keep this one as well on the pasteboard just in case I change my mind. And I'm conscious of the fact that this text is very close to the edge. So maybe what we can do, instead of having it on a single path, is to copy this text, take it out, duplicate this circle, and I hide the other one for now. Put that text in there. Put that text in there. Why is it there? That's it. And then just use the baseline shift, something like that. It's not perfect, but for now I think that will work, and the whole thing can be a bit on an angle as well, and maybe we can make it slightly bigger. I don't know why the text size is not resizing when I do this. Now it's resizing. That's it. Probably doesn't have to be too big. Yeah, something like that. Okay, let's take a look at the whole thing together. Yeah, what is everyone thinking? Again, I don't like the U in the lettuce. This bit I don't like, but not too bad. This part is a little bit hard to read, the F and the R. In some cases I would manually draw over these details and refine it in a final design if I'm using a hand lettered text like this. You can always obviously customize the design, but I think it's looking okay, and we have half an hour left, so I'm not gonna spend too much time on working on this. I would move on to the next page and try to do as much as I can there. I'm obviously aware of the fact that I didn't put all the prices in, but like I said, these are more minor details. And by the way, one additional thing that could look nice here is just some scribbles and some little details that we draw. Now, drawing within InDesign is not something that I recommend to do. So if you ever end up doing something like this, I recommend doing it in Photoshop instead. So just a quick thing I'm going to show here is that if I export this into Photoshop, or even in Procreate, actually, I would do this. I will export this onto my desktop, select bar menu, yes, export. And then I am going to airdrop it onto my iPad. So let's just put that in there quickly. Select bar menu. Yep. And then airdrop to iPad. And then I'm gonna switch back quickly to my iPad on the screen as well. I'll just put this into Procreate just so we can all see it. So I'm gonna bring up my iPad, Procreate, and then there it is. So yeah, what I would do on a separate layer, I will lock this one, and on a separate layer I make sure I use the same green, and I'm gonna use the same brush that I used before. I think would work quite nicely. So to add a bit more character, I would start doing things like little leaves like this. That looks, could be like leaves, could be something else. Just adds a little bit of more character to the design. And then we can also do some, I don't know, maybe zigzag lines could work. Yeah, I think zigzag lines will be nice. Following the shape of these dishes. And I'm intentionally doing it a bit wonky because I want to get that slightly childlike scribbles, doodles effect that we've seen in some of the examples. We can also do, what else can we do? We can also do maybe, I mean, we could go crazy and we could do even little characters like a cucumber man. But let's not go that far. I think it's just wasting time. Obviously, I would do this more if I had time, but I'm just going to do some additional lines here like that. That's quite nice. And then what else? Maybe we can do black as well, just a few details in black. We could use some triangles. No, triangle is too strong detail here. Yeah, some funky lines. I think that's what I'm doing here already. Maybe I'm thinking of something that would be easy to represent, but not too complex and not too specific. I mean, if we do little circles, it could work because we have so many circular elements. If I do little circles, and if we have enough of them, that could work quite nicely. Almost as if little ingredients are thrown around the design. I'm varying their shapes and sizes a bit. Let's just do a bit more of this color. A few more leaves here and there. Again, because of the time restriction I have, this will be very rudimentary, but you can imagine it being developed with a little bit more time. Can't expect these to look amazing, but just as a sense of style. Yeah, not sure about that big line there. Again, the big circle, I don't think it's necessary. Yeah, probably that's it for now. I wouldn't go further. I mean, we could always add more details, but I think, again, if we just look at this without and with the details, I think it adds a layer of interest and liveliness to the design. And what we can do is we can export this without anything, so with transparency from here. So we just go to share, and there's a PNG, and then I'll put it onto my computer, and then it should work. Berries would have been a good idea. Yes, curved arrows, also a good idea. But I'm just gonna drop this onto the desktop salad bar workshop files, and then I'll just rename it. Doodles, and put it in the links folder, and then drop it into InDesign and put it on the background. I think for this, the background layer will be perfect. So let's just try to place it in like that. Oh, and why is it? There it is. Good. Yes, we are looking good. Let's lock the background and let's do a full screen preview. Okay, so that's the front of the layout. Now, once again, small little details like the nutritional icons or spice level icons could be added here to add more detail. That could be a little bit more like the legend can be added there on the top of what those icons mean, which would make the whole thing a little bit more professional. We could have some additional information in these empty spaces. But since I worked on the other sketch, I'm just gonna bring it up quickly again. We had our other sketch here. Just bring it back on my iPad and then show it to everyone. So if you recall, we had this as the back layout for this version. I still like this other first direction as well. I wish I had time to explore that, but I'm just gonna focus on the connecting second page for this. So we won't have time to finish it, but at least we will get started on it. So here I'm going to work in the background first, and I'm going to establish the backdrops. So first of all, I will use a circular shape and zoom out a bit. And I want to create a big circle, which will go at let's just fill this in with a color for now. Let's use that green that we created before. We can put that on the bottom there. That's one shape. We would have another shape here, and then we would have an even bigger shape on the top, but I will make sure it's a perfect circle, something like that. And I'm not even bothered if it's not aligned perfectly in the center. I actually would make it clear that it's not even aligned, and these are also not perfectly symmetrical because we didn't have symmetry here, so we have an asymmetry, and I want to have that unity between the front and the back of the design. I'm just going to turn on a light here because it's getting dark. It's going to blind me, but at least you can see me better. So yes, I want to keep that asymmetry going in here on the second page as well. And for now, I'll just keep these shapes the same color, but obviously we would want them to be looking different. So this top one would be the build salad part. And for this, I am going to bring in the images now. So let's bring in those images from Milanote. We jump over to the ones that I already created. So I feel like the build your salad, definitely I want to use these. I probably will go with this one. For the toppings, I will go with, let's go with this one. And for the protein, I will go with that one. So these three I'm going to download. And I will drop these into my other folder again. Salad bar workshop files, links. I will actually drop this in here just so I can access it quicker. And then let's rename these quickly. Rename. These are the toppings. Actually, they are not toppings. They are, what are they? It's the make your own salad, but it doesn't matter. And then let's bring these in quickly to InDesign. And actually, before we even do that, I'm going to open them in Photoshop first. Let's see if remove background works here. It still doesn't work well. So I'm going to see if I can use the select color range. See if I can isolate it. Not really. Let's try the quick selection tool. Actually, we can start with select subject and then use the quick selection tool to refine the selection a bit and add the missing details. And this one here as well. Again, I'm not too bothered about doing this too professionally now. That's fine for now. That's the mask we have. Maybe just paint over these parts quickly. I'm pressing Alt or Option key on the mask to access the mask itself. So that's one's done. Let's do this. Remove background. Okay, that's fine. Let's save this. Not too fussy because we don't have time. Remove background. Okay, the only part here I'm using my brush. Paint back the cheese. Save this. And then we have the three images. So drop the PSD files into InDesign. Onto the images layer. InDesign. 1, 2, 3. Or if we go back, we can use the gridify feature again. Just split it up into 3. I use the arrows on my keyboard. That way, at least they are the same size. Okay. Yeah, that looks good. Good. And then we can so this is the first thing people have to choose. This is the second thing people have to choose. And then the last thing they will have to choose is the dressing. So for the shape behind, we could just use a I think we could just use a black but with a very low tint value. So like a subtle gray shape, because these images are so nice, they stand out enough. I'm just going to make them slightly bigger as well. and I intentionally overlap and come out of the frame like that. And then I'm going to start borrowing things from the first page, like the text. So I will do this copy I will use for the sections. So this copy which we had here was the build your own salad. Build your own salad. I don't think we have to say bar. Build your own salad. Again, I would probably go with varying the not sure if we need these dashes. Build your own salad. So 4 words. More leading we need, space there. And then I would probably again combine the 2 styles of text, just like in the front. So I would use that Phoenix text on this part. There is Phoenix. I'm just gonna mark it favorite so I can find it easier. And yeah, I mean, in the first page, yeah, I think that's good. Build your own salad. You can make this text bigger. And again, in this case, this will be green. And it's really high time I deleted all the unnecessary colors. Really bugs me when we have in the swatches panel, we have colors that we're not even using. So you can go in a drop down menu and just select all unused and then bin them. That's been planning to do that for a long time. And then let's do that. Okay. Yeah, something like that. I think that looks quite nice. Maybe this one can go a little bit even higher. I quite like that. We can even have a bit of kerning here, separating them. This one can come a bit further out so it doesn't overlap. Build your, now I would use the capital R like before. That lowercase r doesn't look nice. And we can potentially have a bit of angle here as well, like that. Build your own salad. Yeah, I'm not sure. It feels very unbalanced at the moment. Maybe if this goes on the same line and make it smaller. Let's see if this is lowercase. Yeah. I'm not going to worry about it too much now because we don't have time. But yeah, it would require a bit more refinement. For now, I'm just going to keep it like that. And we can quickly add the keywords inside these circles. So the first one would be the greens, I think it was called, or base, toppings, protein. And for that, I will just use the same font, this Heavitas font. So let's just add base, toppings, yeah, it's a longer word, it doesn't fit as well, but maybe we can just divide it into 2 lines. won't look that good. It has to be smaller like that. And then protein. I think we just have to use the same size on the first word as well. So let's just copy this here. Base. I'll just call it greens. That way it's a little bit better. Okay. And just checking if anyone has any suggestions so far, what I'm doing here. So let me know what you think of how it's coming together here on the second page. Obviously, we would have more copy here. So we would have this copy, the Feeling Creative, which we could add with the other font, this one that we've been using. I'm just going to drop it in here. And let's see how it looks. Oops. Oh, what's happening there? Feeling creative, customize your perfect bowl of leafy goodness. So this could be probably feeling creative, could be the color that we've been using. And then this whole text can be up here on the top, and probably it can be a single line like that. That's just the instruction. And then there could be more explanation of how it works. And of course, yeah, like here, it could actually explain all of this with the text. I'm just going to copy this, and before I forget, yeah, let's just use this. Actually, I can just use a text frame and then use the description version 2, left aligned, increase in size, and then I'm just gonna do, for now, I'm gonna do a list and steps like this, and a quick formatting here. I'm going to have between the paragraphs some space. So there's this between paragraph option, maybe 4 millimeters, and we can have a highlight added on the instructions, the choose your base, pick 4 toppings. Those can be using a simple character style. I'm just going to set up a character style, call it green, use the character color green, okay. Come back here, create a new style for this, call it build salad text. And then within that, I am going to go into nested styles and add the new nested style green. And I will say up to, and not word, but a character, and that's the semicolon. And you see, it's already working. Click OK, done. Maybe just in the character style, I go back and I update the font family to bold. Or maybe do it extra bold, extra, or black. Does DIN have black? No. Let's see what's the thickest version of DIN. It's extra bold. Okay, so we just go in here, basic formatting. It's actually easier if we choose DIN and then we can just choose extra bold there. Done. Okay, so let's go back, see this in full screen. Yeah, Pratham is saying shuffle the font for the main type. So build your own salad instead of having it the other way around. I agree, that could work. Since we don't have time for it, I'm just gonna leave it like that for now. Oh, and importantly, when you are using a paragraph style, in this case, let's go into bullets and numbering. We want to have a new list 1, and then we want to continue from previous number. That needs to be set up. That way we have the actual numbers written there. I will probably make this feeling creative bigger and just put the text back here, customize, and then, oops. The feeling creative can probably be Heavitas. Again, just to have 2 different text, fonts there. Might feel a little bit too strong, too powerful. Yeah, actually I prefer it in the original format. I'm just gonna make it slightly bigger. Feeling creative, and then the text can come down here. Maybe this text can be slightly smaller, or maybe we can just make it a bit more wider, like that. And then, yeah, let's rotate this a bit. Okay, and then the build your own salad can be much bigger. Okay, so once again, it is coming together. That's all we had time for in this stream. I wanted to make sure I don't go over the 3 hours. It's already a very long stream, but we can see how things are coming together. Our front layout, the front of the layout, I feel like is working quite nicely. Like I mentioned, a couple of little details, ingredients, like the legend can help, but overall I think we got the style quite nicely set here. And then we can already see how it carries on, how it could carry on to the second page. We would have the soup and sides according to my sketch on the bottom left and the drinks on the right. We could just quickly pop in some of those images there. Let's see if I can find them. So we have maybe this avocado toast bites. It's a very nice image. Let's just drop this in there quickly, just so we have an idea of how it would look like. I will, let's see, remove background. How is it working? Not bad. Yeah, I can live with that. Let's save this and then put it into the links. This is sides, and then we just have to drop it into InDesign. And once again, the shape behind it, this would go on the images layer, but the shape behind it could be different color. It doesn't have to be this green, or maybe the same green but with a lower tint value, like that. So the backdrops are not the important details. And to be honest, if we do a good job setting up the shapes and maybe just using illustrative details, we might not even need those shapes in the end. So those containers that I'm working with here are more like temporary. They shouldn't be dominant. They shouldn't be like taking over the design. That's very important. I just wanted to mention this. So yeah, I would use them in a very subtle way, and eventually, instead of using them, I would just replace them with maybe these scribbly lines that we have on the first page. I could just draw over them and make it recognizable that way. And another feature that, or another design principle we could utilize is closure, where we don't actually have a closed shape, just a couple of lines, but let the viewer imagine how all of those details would connect together. Yeah, so that's just one thing that I would do here, is obviously reduce the intensity on those shapes in the background. And I would refine a lot of little things here, but it's getting there. You can already see how I imagine the second page, hopefully, and how it would work with the first page. So yeah, hopefully you found this workshop useful. And don't forget, the brief is available. The link is in the description below, or in the chat as well. It was pinned. So whoever wants to start working on this, feel free to do so. Have fun with it. And if you ever decide to share the work, just tag us at Yes I'm a Designer. Is usually our handle on most social media, but just look on social media for us. You will find us, and then you will be able to tag us accordingly. We will try to get back to you, but obviously if you want to have like an in-depth review of your work, I highly recommend to sign up at least for a month of our pro membership. Give it a try, and it's guaranteed that you will get my feedback, and I will review your work in depth and in a lot of detail. And if there's any pro members still watching the live stream, I would encourage everyone to do this project. There's still time till the end of the month. We will have our review in 10 days roughly. So there is still time to do it and submit it. Hopefully this will give you a bit of motivation and inspiration to work on this. And hopefully, if everyone likes this format, it's something that we can do every month. So I will pick a project randomly from our library of pro member projects, and I will see how far I can get within 3 hours. And yeah, so hopefully if you like this format, you will join us next time as well. Make sure to hit a like if you've been watching it and you found it useful. And also don't forget to leave a comment if you're watching the recorded version. So yeah, if you don't want to miss out on content like this or other live streams like our design contests, I recommend to subscribe to the channel. And also, as a final note, these contests we run, you can find easily on our website. Just go to free learning, design contests, and then within there, you will always see the most recent contest. We haven't announced our next contest yet. The previous one we just wrapped this week on Tuesday. We have the winners already, you can see here in the blog post. The next one is coming up. We actually are working on 2 new contests simultaneously. One is going to come soon, in a couple of days time. We will announce it, and then we are already working on the next one after that. So yeah, make sure you sign up for our newsletter as well if you don't want to miss out on these contests and when they are revealed. All right, thanks a lot for your attention. Have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.